Yo, what's going on guys? HyperX here, and today I want to talk about indie games. 15 awesome looking indie games that you should definitely have on your radar. These are the sort of games that I personally play a lot in my free time. Sometimes I cover them on the channel, sometimes I just play them for myself, but there are some really cool games coming out either this year or early next year that should definitely be on your radar, or at least you should take the time to check out. So in this video, I thought I would quickly run through the list of 15 that are sort of on my personal watch list. If you guys have got any that you think are worth checking out that maybe I haven't mentioned, definitely let me know down below. But to begin with, let's start off with Solar Ash. For any of you guys that are fans of Hyper Light Drifter, I've actually recently been playing through that game. I'm ashamed that it's taken me this long, but regardless, Hyper Light Drifter is a fantastic game. It's a critically acclaimed game, and that same developer is the one behind Solar Ash, only this time you'll typically know that developer for the isometric style games, but they're now taking to 3D to build this game, which looks incredible. Like, aesthetically, it looks nuts. If you think about, say, Sonic Adventure meets Grinds, that's kind of the sort of feel you get for this game, and rather interestingly, it is also set in the same world as Hyper Light Drifter. It's coming to PS4, PS5, PC, on October the 26th. Moving on from there to the next one, that is Lost in Random. I'm going to run through these ones quite fast because we're going through a lot of games today. Lost in Random, of course, is an RPG with kind of what looks like if you would take Tim Burton and Final Fantasy VII Remake's battle system and sort of make a weird hybrid baby out of them. It features a really interesting claymation, sort of stop motion-esque art style with some sort of light deck building and action RPG mechanics. So gameplay-wise, it looks really interesting, but when I first saw this, just the visual style is so striking that it definitely sort of jumped out to me straight away. That comes out this week, September the 10th, on PS4, PS5, Switch, Xbox One, Series S, X, PC, basically everywhere apart from Mac. Apologies, you can probably see a running theme here. Then, next up on the list, I've spoken about this one on the channel before, but Little Devil Inside, we are of course still waiting for this game. This looks so cool. I've been looking forward to this since they first revealed it. It's of course an action-adventure set in the 19th century based on the sort of lives of explorers. The game features survival elements as well as exploration mechanics, and it's all about this sort of adventure you go on along the way. There are sort of light monster hunting elements to it where you sort of fight these big creatures and sort of tackle them, and there's both single player and co-op. So the visual style, paired with the fact that I have the ability to sort of go on this co-op adventure with my homies, is kind of what has me sold on this game. This one is coming to PS4, PS5, Switch, Xbox One, and Windows. Originally, it was supposed to be July this year, but of course, a lot of games right now have had some delays, so this is sitting right now at TBC. Then, next on the list, we have Endless Dungeon. If you know me, you know that I like my roguelikes, roguelites out the wazoo, right? This is a tactical action game. It has different classes. It has horde-style gameplay. Visually, it looks really cool, and it's actually seen as the spiritual successor to Dungeon of the Endless. Not a game that I've personally played, but does of course have a pretty sort of like devout following, and seeing the gameplay from this originally sort of shown during the Summer Games Fest, as someone that likes playing roguelites, this is definitely on my radar. This one, however, does not currently have a fixed release date, but it is slated for all platforms. Now, next up on the list, this one might seem a little bit strange to include, but Kena Bridge of Spirits, it is still technically considered an indie game because they are still the developers and the publishers, but of course it's being heavily marketed and pushed on PlayStation 5, so people might kind of see it in a slightly different light, but I'm still classifying it, right? It's developed by a very small studio, passionate, super passionate people who are also Zelda fans. This is an incredible looking game. I can't wait for it. It has, of course, had a few delays, but it is now slated for September the 21st. This was, of course, revealed kind of around the same time as the PS5. This, of course, is an action-adventure game. Plenty of exploration, plenty of incredible scenery. You, of course, play as Kena, and you have access to various different sort of combat abilities. Plus, you go around the world collecting these little rots, who are the furry little companions, and they will, of course, aid you in battle, aid you in sort of puzzle solving. Basically, think of it like Zelda meets this awesome Pixar style animation. Very excited for this one. We recently did a video on everything we currently know about Kena, so if you want to actually learn more about the game, I will link that down below. Then moving on from there, we of course have EASTWARD, another one that I've been raving about recently. This one also comes out very soon, next week in fact, September the 16th for PC and Switch. I mean, this one, I said it before, but visually, if you just look at the trailer and you are not blown away by this, I don't know what to say to you, right? Think of it like Last of Us plus Earthbound plus Zelda plus hot 80s synthwave. This is an incredible looking game. You of course take on the role of these two characters who are on a sort of a rather unconventional journey. You have access to a variety of different weapons, from like a frying pan to this sort of cog launcher to like a flamethrower, psychic abilities, and they even recently confirmed that this will actually give you about 30 hours of gameplay, you know, assuming you kind of just go through the story. There will of course be more if you decide to do some mini games, but basically this is looking looking to be a pretty meaty game. So not long to wait for this one. Next up, again, for those of you guys that are maybe sort of Zelda fans, you can probably see a theme here. I like a lot of sort of Zelda style games. We have TUNIC, which looks very cool. Basically, do you like foxes? Do you like Zelda? Do you like Soulsborns? Then TUNIC is basically the game for you. It's an isometric action-adventure game where you play as this tiny little fox exploring the ruins of the wilderness of a sort of long-forgotten world. And if you enjoyed games like Death's Door that came out recently, then this definitely looks like a good one to check out. This is coming to Xbox and PC. Then jumping over to a different style game, we've done plenty of Zelda games, plenty of roguelites. This time we're talking about Unbeatable, which is kind of like if you combined Promare, which was the new Trigger awesome looking mech anime, which if you haven't seen that, you need to check it out. It was a film, not an anime, well, animated film. Anyway, combine that with Scott Pilgrim and like Taiko no Tatsujin, then you get Unbeatable. It's a rhythm game with a ton of style. It has a very simple button scheme, but loads of personality, and it also has exploration and RPG elements too. So it's definitely super unique and definitely something that you should actually have on your radar. Believe it or not, this was actually a Kickstarter success and it was funded in 15 hours, which is pretty impressive. However, this one, okay, I lied a little bit. It's further out. This one is supposedly December 2023, but there is a demo available on Steam to try out now, so you can check it out. This one currently is only PC. After that, we then have SABLE, which is a cel-shaded desert sort of punkish looking game. You explore a desolate world, helping out other nomadic tribes. You can travel using your hoverbike, which is fully customizable, and the game features a sort of super chill soundtrack from an indie rock group, Japanese Breakfast. This one is coming out on September the 23rd, again, Xbox and PC. Then we have OLLI World, for those of you guys that are skaters out there. OLLI should need no introduction. OLLI was of course the series that is a must-have for the sort of incredibly tight arcade-style gameplay they had. It had a really cool licensed soundtrack as well, featuring artists such as like Evil Needle, Dorian Concept, and Flying Lotus. The sequel, however, flips the script because it takes the action to 3D, and it adds in a whole story with a fully customizable character and trick loadouts. So if you like rhythm games, Street Fighter, and then games with tight windows to execute commands, then this is for you. This is slated for December this year, coming to PS4, PS5, Switch, Xbox, and PC. Next up on the list, we have Stray. I mean, look, I had to mention this, right? I like cats. I have a cat, alright? I'm biased. But this has been in development for quite some time. You play as a cat, right? You explore the streets of a world filled with robots. You're joined by a drone called B12, where you have to solve puzzles to progress. And it looks like this sort of dystopian, Hong Kong-based Assassin's Creed, only you're playing as a cat, which I think sounds awesome. And it's slated for early next year, early 2022, PS4, PS5, and PC. Now, next one we then have replaced. This, unfortunately, is next year, but this one, when they showed off the trailer during the Xbox showcase, this immediately jumped out because it has an incredibly cool visual art style. It's a 2.5D sci-fi retro futuristic action platformer where you play as Reach, which is basically an artificial intelligence trapped in a human body. But this combines cinematic platformer, pixel art, and free-flow action combat with this sort of deep, engaging dystopian story set in alternative 1980s. Now, when it comes to combat, this is the thing that looked the most impressive when you see the trailer, because you see the cool pixel art style, you see the sort of dystopian feel, and then you feel the weight to combat. You see the way that the camera cinematically sort of shifts, you feel those punches. It just looks so cool. Felt sort of like martial arts John Wick in pixel, so I can't wait to play this. This one is slated for Xbox and PC, coming out next year. Following on from there, we then have Somerville. For those of you guys that are fans of, say, Limbo and Inside, then this is a similar style game. It's an adventure game played from a third-person perspective. The player controls a family of three, a father, a mother, and their young son, as well as a pet dog, in the wake of this post-apocalyptic event on Earth. It looks incredibly atmospheric. It's definitely the sort of a vibe you would get if you play games like Limbo, you play games like Inside, or if any of you guys have checked out Song of Iron recently, that kind of vibe. So it's definitely one of those ones where it probably won't be too long. It'll be more so about delivering that atmospheric short story, but it does look incredibly interesting. This one again, slated for Xbox and PC next year. Now, moving on from there, for those of you guys that are fans of tribute games, and if you like your Streets of Rage style stuff, then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Tribute have made some fantastic games. They've made Mercenary Kings, which is incredible. They made the Scott Pilgrim game, which is also awesome. Basically, they know what they're doing when it comes to pixel-based 2D games and super satisfying gameplay. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is, of course, going to be an old-school brawler with buckets of personality and fun, and it's co-op. So what's not to like, basically? Coming to PlayStation, Switch, Xbox, and PC. And then finally on the list, I have to mention it, but only because it's basically gone super silent, and that is Hollow Knight Silksong. Hollow Knight is an incredible game, and if you haven't played it, I mean, look, you have plenty of time to play it because Silksong has been delayed. In fact, we don't know when it's coming out right now. So for that reason, you have plenty of time to finish Hollow Knight. I feel like it's one of those kind of things, it's a rite of passage. If you don't finish Hollow Knight, maybe they're never going to release Silksong, right? So just do it because it needs to be done. That being said, if you haven't seen it before, acrobatic combat, you have 150 new enemies, the game's got an orchestral score, and it just kind of builds on everything we've loved about Hollow Knight before, and this is coming to PC and Switch. So this is definitely one to keep your eyes peeled for. Maybe at some point we'll get that Nintendo Direct and they'll show us some more, but for the time being, that's it. So there you have it. There are 15 awesome looking indie games you should definitely have on your radar. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought, which one stood out to you the most, and also let me know if you guys want to see more content like this. I do, as mentioned, love playing these kind of games. I just don't always cover them. Sometimes I play them more so in my free time. So if you guys want to see more stuff from these style of games, definitely let me know. If you want to catch more from us at HyperX Gaming, don't forget you can catch the guys TwoSixNine and Paradise Central streaming over on Twitch weekdays, playing a variety of games. If you guys want to jump in, tune in, watch, and even join in, then make sure you check them out. The links to those are in the description box down below. And of course, you can join the Discord to get involved in all of the discussions.